Scorpio. Scorpio season, which is happening on Thursday, November 4th at 5:14 p.m. Eastern Time. So remembering ideal time to do new moon magic, new moon meditation, new moon spells, new moon intention settings. About 3 days on either side of the new moon, so maybe you're very prepared and have long been done, but if not, and you're watching this on the day of the new moon, you got a couple days to do some actual magic, but remembering also that the reason we offer these new moon transmissions to you is to give you a veritable buffet of the different energies that are available for you to align with. And that alignment practice can happen during, a tight ritual working or a tight meditation, or it can be something that you consider as affecting the vibes for at least the next month, because that's what the new moon does, is it puts a little stank on the next month, creates this opportunity to set some intentions and to allow your temporary self, your personality, as represented by the moon, and your forever self, the source of your power, as represented by the sun, to sync up. We're calling this moon the Debbie Downer moon, but Debbie is doing the most. It's a little heavy, but there's so much power and so much freedom to be discovered within during this new moon and for the next couple of weeks after. But it's big because the sun and the moon are very personal, bodies. They're luminaries that we see and we engage with all the time. Mercury, Mars, Venus, inner planets, much more intimate and immediate as well. But when an inner planet or a luminary lines up with the outer planets, the slower moving planets, its big shit goes down. It just has that kind of crash course, collision course feeling between the big forces and the inner, most intimate moments of our lives. So this is happening during this new moon, Sun conjunct moon in Scorpio. We're reading this new moon as an opportunity to source your power in the deepest, darkest, stankiest, albeit truest places of your being. So Scorpio season is when whatever's kind of kicking around in the corners of the darkness of our consciousness rears its ugly head until we love on it and bring awareness to it and discover power within the poison or power within the darkness, right? Great example. I come from a long line of workaholics, and that workaholism still occasionally does lead to perfectionism, which makes me nasty, which makes me angry, which makes me yell. But when you look at that energy of workaholism and you love on it, it becomes, and you bring awareness to it and light to it and consciousness to it, it becomes clearer that there's all of the bullshit that's associated with the workaholism, projection and resentment and exhaustion and this and that. And then the other side of it, which is endurance and tenacity and endurance, the ability to keep going. So I love my endurance. Don't love the nasty beast that I become when I've gone too far and haven't, appreciated the endurance within the workaholism. So example of Scorpio season, workaholism would surge up and I would just be getting kind of whipped by all of the negative experiences that are associated with something that actually does and could contain a lot of power. Why do I have to be a workaholic? Why do I have to work all the time? Why can't I work just the right amount and have just the right amount of rest? That's just an example of how bringing awareness to something that you don't question, something that's in the shadows, something that's in the dark. When you bring awareness to it, you loosen the grip that it has on you, and then truly Scorpio puts you in these challenging places and forces you to see these shadow cells or shadow aspects which seem to be other than you, but which really, once you love on it, you realize are you. So it's like Scorpio is all about uncomfortable truths that nobody really wants to deal with and that only you can deal with. And Scorpio is also about transmutation and transformation and the process of loving on this darkness until it yields power and light and insight and awakening and power, right, is very much associated with Scorpio. It seems like it's something over there, that bitch. But that bitch, when I love on that aspect of myself, cracks open and brings me power that maybe I wouldn't have found if I didn't do this optional inner dirty work of facing my shadows. Questions associated with this new moon. What am I ready to merge with? What do I want to penetrate into? What is changing? What is transforming? How do I intend to transform things? Really good Scorpio question. What is ready to die or be killed in my own experience, right? No violence in the outer world, but what is ready, or maybe what already died and needs to be mourned. But Scorpio loves fresh blood, that fresh slaughter and harvest and new life, resurrection, right? Rebirth. So yeah, other simpler questions. What fears can I or do I need to face? And a very nice one. How do I intend to go deeper for this month? So that would be enough. You could just play with that. That's new moon transmission read for new moon in Scorpio. But the new moon, as we said, is messing with some of these outer planets. New moon is opposite Uranus in Taurus. This is a long-ass planet, a slow-moving planet moving through a stodgy sign, Uranus and Taurus. It's the planet of, even though it's a slow-moving planet, it causes big, rapid, crazy fucking change. It's like the initiator of revolution and a catastrophe sometimes, signified by the Tower card in the tarot. Explosion that sort of changes the order of things or clears away the dross to allow room for new growth. So it can be gnarly, and it's epical usually, EPOCH, right? It causes big changes. It's not the little changes of Mars kind of, transforming and doing things with that inner fire and energy every day. Uranus comes along to sort of lightning bolt, big moments of change. And as we said, when Uranus is chilling opposite this new moon lunation, this new moon in Scorpio, it's as though whatever you're personally going deeper into, whatever intentions you're setting, wherever this shadow material is gently kind of creeping in, Uranus is opposite that beautiful, deep, dark, murky yet powerful transformation. And Uranus goes, wha-bam! Change now. Do it now. Look at this. Blow this up. Okay? And so we're talking about it as kind of tension between these inner changes and the outer changes. And the combination of these things, too, together may leave you feeling as though this delicate optional shadow work in the corners is being called out. As though, like, you gotta deal with it, okay? But it might actually just feel uncomfortable. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. We're reading it as though Uranus is going to bring big changes in the world around you, and cause explosive things to happen that, like we said, might seem to be separate from you and your own inner transformations. But really, these outer blow-ups are no less intense than your inner life because they're very much related. And that's what we would say, is that, like, these outer events are in opposition, right? When Uranus is opposite this new moon, the outer explosions are compelling you to seek balance with your inner transformation. So it's like, what's the relationship between my inner changes and the shit that's blowing up in the world around me? How are outer events asking me to go deeply within and change? How are the outer changes compelling me to go within? And how are the inner changes compelling me to incite change and revolution without. So in the world around me. So, you know, Uranus, planet of revolution, everything's like normal. But, you know, even the debates about what's going on are very normal. Not a lot of authentic feedback happening, right? Just a lot of swirls of words and energies and ideas and loyalties. This is very Aquarian, right? The energy of sort of these mass movements that are also crystallizing into highly polarized groups, right? It's like the worst side of Aquarius, as opposed to mass movements articulating these different groups, and then the higher frequency of Aquarius calling all these different groups to come together in the spirit of harmony and unity. So this is just that reminder that these things that seem to be happening outside are directly related to what's going on inside of you. Everything is changing. Everything is blowing up, right? In the world, Taurus, right? On the material plane. And everything is changing, living, dying, and being reborn on the inner plane. An opposition between these two highly charged forces asks us to seek balance between these two. So we've been saying a lot since Mercury retrograde, pay attention to what's causing you anxiety, pay attention to what's triggering you, because that's the shadow material. That's what wants to be worked with. And then go a little step further and remember that it's not just happening in you and that it's not just happening in the world. There's a relationship between what's happening in you and what's happening in the world. And if you seek calm, you're going to either have to do something in the world or do something in yourself, because in order to find this balance, right? And the opportunity is there for you to change big things inside once and for all. Very Scorpio, right? It's not on life support when you go through a transmutation, transformation process. It's dead, and then new life is reborn. We're not keeping shit alive. It's over, and we begin again. So, what is ready to die? What's ready to be killed within you? And what can you do, or how do you need to change in order to end problems that you sense and encounter? Okay. Final alignment for this month is that this new moon and technically Uranus are square Saturn. So sounds like a little bit of a different message, but it's really quite similar. Saturn square the new moon. It's like, as we're creating these intentions, as we're doing these deep and beautiful and once and for all transformations, what are the tensions and the conflicts that arise? What are the difficult lessons that, I don't want to fucking deal with? Again, shadow material. Squares provide tension. Saturn is in Aquarius, so it's hard lessons about the nature of the collective. And because of the Saturn square Uranus and Taurus, it's hard lessons about the conflict between the collective and our resources, right? And the material plane. We're all here on this plane. It's not working. What are we going to do to resolve this terrible tension, this apparently, unresolvable conflict? The new moon square Saturn in Aquarius says, well, what have you learned about the collective? How do you understand your relationship to all of us? What are you doing for us? What are we doing for you? What is the relationship between one and all and one? And then specifically, because Saturn teaches us uncomfortable lessons, as well as squares do. Squares teach us uncomfortable lessons. Saturn asks us, what must I take responsibility for? Or if I don't take responsibility for this, I end up compromising my own integrity, right? I am juvenile, I'm immature. it implies a kind of resistance, like I said, to these lessons that we don't really want to learn. But as you harvest power, right? Because that's what happens when you face these uncomfortable things and love on them until you find the good, until you find the useful in them. And what is the useful for? The useful is not just for your own needs. The useful is for our needs, right? Like I said, resolving the conflict between all of us are here, and we have a limited number of resources. So what the fuck are we going to do about that? These uncomfortable conflicts seem tedious and seem annoying, but do not forget that this is an opportunity. And if you resolve the tension, if you seek to resolve these tensions between what is little old me doing and what's going on in the world, it helps. And Saturn's presence and Scorpio's presence is you not only learn, you learn hard lessons, you learn them once and for all, you change, and Saturn being in the picture says, you grow up. You grow up. You grow the fuck up. We all grow up. So, yeah. So, what must I take responsibility for or risk compromising my integrity? And or, what must I accept in order to see my transformation through? Uncomfortable things I need to accept in order to see my transformation through. And then as I resolve to go all the way, Scorpio, all the way, what measures can be taken to avoid past mistakes or history repeating itself? Saturn square Uranus is a big aspect to, I think the first one was in February, maybe even end of 2020, but point is, there's a big climax of this Saturn square Uranus energy on December 24th. That's when it's actually exact, but because Saturn and Uranus are both slow movers, this is a really powerful alignment that's coloring a lot more of our experience than this new moon chart might be telling us. But the questions that are associated with Saturn and Uranus are, how does what I have learned about the collective conflict with my understanding of resources, and what is my role in resolving the conflict between what we've all learned and what we all have? That's what I'm going to leave you with. What is my role? What is my role in resolving the conflict between what we've all learned and what we all have? There is a conflict between what we now know and the resources we have available to us. I can't pretend to solve all the problems here, but I can say to you, what is your role in this? Take this up. How are you changing? How do you want to change? Uranus is staring you down across the chart, across the zodiac, looking at you, being like, I've changed. Why haven't you? What are you going to do? Are you going to factor in everything that's changed around you in order to set some intentions this new moon about how you want to change? Also go in the direction of the things that make you uncomfortable, because that's where all the power lies. When you deal with these squares and when you deal with these lessons from Saturn, big things change. So Saturn square Uranus in some ways is a big version of this new moon, which is more about the intimate part of it for you and how the societal changes are affecting you, whereas Saturn square Uranus is more so about how the societal changes are affecting us. What are the hard lessons we're learning about, as a collective, about the role of the collective versus the individual? We are simplifying things over here in Edible Spirit Land, so there's not going to be a ton of writing with this one. We just wanted to check in with you for the new moon transmission and send you all the love, because you're so delicious. Remember, we're available for readings, for classes. We're planning on putting a couple new journeys up that are like private healing sessions where we take you on a journey. The first one we're doing is gender and identity. That's the one we've been working on. And what else? Yeah, we're still teaching private classes. So if you want to do a little workshop with you and your buddies, reach out to us, and we're happy to teach you. And stay tuned. Join the mailing list at ediblespirit.com. Follow us on Instagram for less. We're posting less because we're working more. IRL. We are here for you. So if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We love you very much. You're so delicious.